Hey guys, it's Cole, and this is going to be my first episode of my poker vlog. I'm a second year business student at Wilfrid Laurier University, and for our first game of the vlog, I'm going to be playing 2-5 in a home game, so wish me luck.
A few moments later.
Alright, so this is 2 days after the first 2-5 session of the year. We played for 9 hours from 7 p.m. until about 4 a.m., and I'm just going to go through some of the more interesting hands that we played that night. So in our first hand, we pick up King Queen off in middle position and open it up to $30 with 2 limpers behind us. We go heads up to a flop of King Queen 3 and absolutely smash that flop. So in this case, the villain is the owner of the game. He's playing until we have the 10th player to come and make the table full ring. So he's an aggressive player, and he definitely doesn't want to get pushed around at his own game. So when I smash this board and lock up the majority of the equity, I know he's going to be folding with his pairs, nines and below, his ace highs, and anything else that he doesn't hit the flop. And I'm blocking kings or blocking queens, the pairs that he could have. So basically I can only see him continuing with hands like Jack 10 or 9-10 unless he's going to try to make a bluff. So I make an attempt to induce him into bluffing us because I feel this might be the most profitable, especially against this player type. So he checks it over to us, and I bet $15 into a pot of 70, and he just calls. The turn brings the offsuit king, making us the boat, so we're no longer scared of any of the potential straight draws that he have, but we're still going to continue the story that we don't really have a very strong hand, and we're just trying to scoop in on the turn for only $15. So he checks it over to us, and we bet $15, and what do you know? He re-raises us to $100, so it's looking like a good hand. We call, and the turn brings an offsuit 8, and he just donk bets $200. Pretty straightforward here. We just jam, hopefully get called by some random King X hand that he could have. But insta-snap folds and says that he had 10 high. So within the first hour, we end up taking down a pretty big pot, and that's always a good start to a session. Alright, so the next hand I'm going to talk about is just not the largest spot, but just a pretty interesting spot. So at this home game, how it works with the button straddle is it skips over the blinds. So the small blind is not first act, but is still under the gun. And once it makes the way all the way around to the cutoff, it skips over the big blind, goes to the small blind, then to the big blind, and then back to the button. So I didn't know this when I was playing this hand, so just keep that in mind. So what happens is there's the button straddle for $10, and I'm in the small blind with ace queen off, and I make it $30. And at this point, this is when I realize that I've made a mistake, and it's not actually my turn to act. So there ends up being 5 limpers, and it's going to be on me, and I'm a little confused at this point because I think everyone saw me try to raise $30 pre-flop, so I think I kind of convinced myself that everyone was just trying to trap me, so I end up just flatting here and just seeing a flop 6 ways. Definitely in this case, I would definitely be raising to something like $75, $80 here with ace queen off, and there's this many limpers, but just in this specific case, I felt I was just trying to get trapped, and I ended up just talking myself into just calling. The board comes 8-8-4 with 2 hearts and a club. I lead out for $60, and it just folds back to me, and we take that one down. The next big hand we play, we have pocket deuces on the button, and middle position opens to $15. There are 2 callers, and I call with pocket deuces on the button. I think calling here is pretty standard. We're getting a good price to see the flop multi-way. We're about $700 effective, and we're on the button so we can extract maximum value. The flop comes 10-8 deuce, diamond, diamond, club, and the pre-flop raiser c-bets $60, and there's 1 caller. I elect to raise here and charge the draws for their values, or maybe get called by some overpairs and 10-8s, and I make it $200. The small blind jams for his remaining $330, and I call, the rest fold. He turns over king 4 diamonds, so we have a little bit of a sweat here. I asked him if he wants to run it twice. He says he only wants to run it once. And there's an ace of hearts on the turn and a 3 of clubs on the river, and we scoop that pot. The next big hand we play, there's a $12 button straddle, and there are 4 limps, and I'm in the small blind. And this time I remember that, I'm not first act, and I end up raising it up to $75. We go 3 ways to a flop of ace, queen, 9, all hearts. I lead out for $180, looking to get called by worse aces, maybe some king queens, or just in general, any king or jack of hearts. Just the button calls, so we're going heads up to a turn of the 3 of hearts. And at this point, The player on the button is definitely not getting out of line. I've played with him many times. I've never seen him ever just make a huge move or just completely call when he has no equity and just try to rip it on the turn of the river. So I'm pretty much done with his hand, especially only because the villain has like $400 behind, so I can't really call, try to boat up on the river and have like the implied odds to get the money there. So I'm just done with this hand, check it over to him. He bets $400 of his like 410 remaining, and I just let it go. It kind of sucks, but I feel like he just never doesn't have it there. So the next big hand, it's about 2 in the morning, and there's a recreational player who's been sitting down for about the past hour. He's in for about 4K at this point, so the game is playing really big. We have about 1,600 effective, and we're looking to play pots with this recreational player. So he limps under the gun, and there's one more limper behind him. We're in middle position with pocket tens, and we ISO with $35 bet. So just the under the gun player calls, and we go heads up to a flop of 9 jack 4 rainbow. I'm very confident that we're still ahead on this flop, so he checks it over to us, and I bet $50 just for pure value. The turn brings the 10 of diamonds, creating a flush draw and getting some of the straight draws to get there. But I'm still very confident that we have the best hand, and I'm still looking to get max value from this hand. So he checks it over to us, and I bet $130, and he calls. The river is the jack of hearts, making the flush draw miss and giving us tens full. And then at this point he just leads for $400, and I was a little confused at this point because he hasn't really done any crazy aggressive moves at this table so far. He's basically just been calling with second best or just like checking down when he has like the fourth nuts or whatever. So I just elect to call because I feel like if I were to jam here, I'm not really going to get called by anything better. Maybe like I get called by Jack 9 and I lose, or maybe I get called by like some like King Jack that like he just over-repped. But I feel like I could have left some value at the table, but I feel like I played it well, and we end up scooping a pretty large pot. The last hand I'm going to talk about plays at about 4 in the morning. Usually I like to leave the game at around 1 or 2 a.m. because that's when I feel my edge starts to fall off and I start playing a little worse. But because the recreational player is in for about 10 bulbs to this point, and we're playing 7 hand, and I'm still really just looking to play with him for as long as I can. So there's a $20 straddle, and there are 2 calls. We're in the small blind with pocket 4s, and I just elect to call. I'm not looking to play a large pot out of position, especially with a low pocket pair, and I want to make sure that the recreational player is still in the hand. So I just call, and we end up going 4 ways to a flop of ace, 8, 4, spade, spade, spade. I lead out for $60, and the villain, who is not the recreational player, but a good 5-10 player, ends up re-raising us to $150. Folds back to us, and I feel like we have a pretty straightforward decision to just call here. I feel like when we raise, we're going to be pushing out a lot of his, combo draws, maybe some ace, jack of spades hands, ace 10 of spades, maybe just even some 2 pairs like ace 8, we might be able to push him off that, and we want him to continue with those hands. So we just call, and the turn is a brick. It's the 6 of diamonds. We check it over to him, and he leads out and he continues betting for $280. We just call, and the river is the 9 of hearts. And this is where I absolutely just butchered this hand. I was so closed mind when I hit that flop on the set. I was just ready for Vegas the Mirage, scoop this 4K pot and get out of there. That I didn't really think this through when I was doing it. And I ended up just leading for $700, and I think this is an absolutely terrible play because by doing this, we're not allowing any of his king of spades, queen of spades bluffs to continue, and we're just only going to get called by better here. So I really don't like this play because I think we're folding out maybe some ace 8s, we're folding out some like ace jack of spades that he would continue bluffing with, folding out all the king of spades that he would continue bluffing with, and we're only going to get called by better. And what do you know? Snap calls us and tables queen 9 of spades, the flopped second nuts, and we end up losing the largest pot of the night. Didn't feel the greatest after making that play, but what can you do? As long as you learn from the hand, it's okay, I guess. So cashing out for $765, so we have a $265 profit, but it never feels good to lose your last hand, especially when it's the largest pot of the night. But as long as it's a profit, I guess it's okay. So if you guys have any questions for me, if you have any suggestions on how I can make this vlog better or more fun to watch, please let me know. If you guys have any ideas or can help me make a better hand analysis backdrop. If you noticed, it could have been very similar to some of the more popular vloggers out there. Please let me know, because I tried to make one on Photoshop and it was just taking me hours and I just could not do it. So yeah, thanks for watching, and hope to see you next video.